Thank you for double-clicking your mouse tonight. You're listening to the Midnight Frightcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Midnight Frightcast. This is your host, Patrick Lambrecht, and this is episode number 33. I have with me in the basement studio, Josh.
Hey.
And joining us with the face of the time is Greg.
Breaker, this is Greg.
The doctor of filmonomics.
The doctor
Ooh, I like that.
Filmonomics.
I just made that word up. I think I made that word up.
All right.
Well played.
So it's been a couple weeks since we last met, and it was all three of us that time, and I'm glad that we can get all three of us back together again, albeit over the internet here. But we got a couple things to talk about this week. Let's start off with what we've been watching.
Yeah. Are we going to round robin this? We don't talk about this stuff ever before we get on. We're like, we do when we get on.
We are a fly by the seat of our pants type podcast. So if you like organization,
it's not going to happen.
Be the best idea for you.
And cut.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen that way.
Are we going to round robin then, or are we going to just get through them?
Let's go around, starting with Greg.
Starting with me?
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Stand by. All right. So I'll start with my least relevant piece here, and only because it's basically consumed my last 2 weeks. So on June 15th, the over in Russia, the World Cup started, and I have been binge watching every game that I can get a hold of, and it's been awesome so far. A lot of great games, and sad that the USA couldn't make it this year, or weren't able to win their way into the tournament, but still have been a lot of great teams, and it's just been a lot of fun to watch this tournament this year.
Has there been a lot of upsets? I heard there's a lot of upsets.
There was a couple in the first couple of games, but it's starting to kind of form out to what people were mostly expecting. So I think some of the teams were just shaking off some of the rust and getting rid of some of the jitters. And but yeah, it's been a lot of really, really good games, a lot of brutal games. They've just been beating on each other.
Fun.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. I had a chance while I was over in Germany. The Euro Cup was going on during that time.
Oh, nice.
And if you want to have a lot of fun during football season, be in Europe during that time because, man, they go nuts.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge
soccer
over there. I imagine what we have for American football is what they're like for soccer football.
Even more crazed for it. I mean, we went to a football game over there that would have been like the equivalent of Salt Dogs here. Mm-hmm. And they still tore down the stadium. It was insane, you know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, their fans are rabid. It's insane.
Love the World Cup. So, first on my list is a Netflix original called The Staircase, and it's a Did I steal that from you,
No,
Josh?
it's okay. Talk away, sir.
I'm just going to say it is a documentary about 11 episodes. It's quite
13.
a few. 13
I got
episodes.
one left.
Okay, and I got all the way to the end, and I'm not going to spoil it for you. But it's these crime documentaries have really been piquing my interest lately.
Yeah.
So if you have a chance to see this on Netflix, I suggest it.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal a little bit because my wife started watching that, and I walked in on her watching that, and I was like, what is this stuff? And she was telling me about it, and I sat down, and then I could not get back up. It was just, it drew me in, and then not only that, but then it made me go back and start rewatching Making a Murder. Because that's super good. So Evil Genius, all those shows are just taken off on Netflix, and they're all Netflix originals.
I think they found their success with that Making a Murderer, and they're just going with it.
Yeah, but The Staircase is, I got the same feelings from that as I got from Making a Murderer. As far as the emotions going and the kind of the anger. Yeah. And we have one episode left to finish. Yeah. We're going to watch it tonight, and I'm excited to see how it ends.
But it is an investment because each episode is about 40 minutes long.
Yeah, about 45 minutes long, yeah. But well worth it.
Yep.
And what is this one called? The Staircase?
The Staircase.
Interesting.
Yep. All right, Greg, back to you.
Oh, wow, that was quick. So kind of going along the same lines as the World Cup, I was looking for a movie to watch the other night because I actually had some free time and I wanted to just shut my brain off. And I came across a movie that I haven't seen in a long time, but it's relevant to kind of what's going on with the World Cup. And it's about as stupid, mindless comedy as you can possibly get. I watched Beer Fest.
Beer Fest is fantastic. I love that movie.
Enjoyable, fantastic comedy from the guys of Broken Lizard who gave you Super Troopers.
Yep.
Fantastic film. Absolutely fantastic. Loved every minute of it.
They, at the end of that movie, who is it? Walks out of that bar with a bong. He's smoking.
Willie Nelson.
Yeah, Willie Nelson smoking weed.
Really?
And so, yeah.
That's a shocker.
So, so they made Super Troopers 2, and then they're like, if people go see this movie, we promise you, we will make Bong Fest or Pot Fest. So I'm kind of, although stupid and kind of, terrible humor, I'm kind of excited to see.
That's their style of comedy, though, is just absolute stupid humor, and it's awesome. They're one of the best at doing it.
Yeah. I'm a total Broken Lizard fan.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're really good.
I'm a fan of Broken Lizard, too.
What?
Wait, what?
I said I'm a fan of your Broken Lizard, too.
Oh, nice. Anywho, I caught a movie also on Netflix that I don't know why I chose to watch it, but I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, and it was called Fun Mom Dinner. And it's just this.
I'm not laughing at you.
You are totally laughing at me. And it's basically these four women that decide to have a ladies' night out, but the cast is really good because it's got Toni Collette and oh gosh, no, I can't remember her name. There's Katie Alston and Bridget Everett and she was on Saturday Night Live. She was the one that smelled her armpits all the time.
Oh, not Molly Shannon.
Yeah, Molly Shannon.
Molly Shannon. Okay.
Molly Shannon.
Yep, that's exactly right. And it was just entertaining because the comedy in it was really true to life. So I just got a big kick out of it. Not something I would normally watch, and it just caught my attention, and I watched it.
Elizabeth really likes Toni Collette. Toni Collette's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on Amazon Prime, there's a film that dropped that I threw some money down for an indie film that I've been kind of following as they were making it. It's called Terrifier. And a few years back, they made a movie called All Hallows Eve. And it had a character in there named Art the Clown. And they gave him his own film. And that film was Terrifier. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a real decent indie flick. It's not, I'm not going to sit here and say there's really a story to it, because it's basically a body count flick. It's
your favorite.
It's super gory and the effects are really great, but there are characters that literally show up in this movie just so they can give him one more person to kill. There's no real point to them being there other than, that person is going to walk in, they're going to run into him, and just a gory mess is going to happen. But it was a lot of fun to watch. So if you get a chance, find it on Amazon Prime. It really wasn't that much.
The still shot, he kind of looks like the puppet from Saw.
He does kind of a little bit, yeah.
What's his name? The puppet? I can't think of it. Anyway, but this guy's name is Art. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. So there's that.
Excellent.
And
I guess that would be me for the last one. So I got a text from a couple of my friends last night. There was a movie playing at the Alamo Draft House that they wanted to go see. It's not a newer one. It was actually released back in the early 80s, if I remember right. Begrudgingly, I went. I knew it was going to be bad, and it's still just as bad as it was back then. But it was kind of fun to see it on the big screen. I went and saw Masters of the Universe.
I love that movie, 1987, Masters of the Universe. Dolph Lundgren.
Terrible.
Not terrible.
I bet it was extremely exciting for the 1980s Josh, though.
It was fantastic. I love that movie.
It was entertaining. Like, I came to the conclusion, first off, there's a lot of like Star Wars themes coming out of that movie. Like ridiculously Star Wars themes. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I've come to the conclusion that a terrible movie from the 1980s is still better than a terrible movie put out today, because at least it has adventure and imagination.
That movie also has a really, really great cast. If you're being honest, it's Dolph Lundgren's in there, and then Courtney Cox is in there.
Courtney Cox kind of hams it up.
Frank Langella's in there.
Frank Langella was probably the best part of that entire movie. I wish they would have done his makeup a little bit better.
Yeah,
because the mask that they put on him was weird when he was talking. I think if they would have gone a little bit different way, or a little bit tighter type mask, I think he would have been just outstanding. But he was probably the best part of that entire film.
Yeah. The only hate I have on that movie is how much they took it out of Grayskull and how much took place on Earth. And then the villains in that movie really had nothing to do with the cartoon.
They actually had this was a special feature that they did that night, where they had some podcast guys come in and they did a brief intro to it, and they said that the reason that they had those droid robots in there, A, was for body count, B, was because when they shot the feature, Mattel did not want any death involved with it, the toy maker Mattel.
Yeah.
And so they added these characters so that they could kill people off.
Gotcha.
But essentially they weren't killing off any characters from the cartoon.
There's a remake in the works for that.
Of course there is.
Yeah, and they're gonna go back to the original, closer to the cartoon. Orko is gonna be in there, and they're gonna keep it in Grayskull, and She-Ra, I think, is coming in, and they're gonna do it like the original cartoon from the 80s. So I think it'll be kind of cool.
Hey, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's campy, it's a cult classic for sure, but it's still a terrible movie from the 1980s that is entertaining.
Yeah.
All right. Well, against Greg's better judgment, Rachel and I went and saw Solo. No, wait a minute. I went and saw Solo. Rachel did not go with me.
So you went solo?
I went solo to Solo. Rachel and I went and saw Jurassic World. But about Solo, a completely unnecessary film in the Star Wars saga. Didn't need to know any more about him. Didn't learn hardly anything more about him than what we already knew. I think just knowing what we did was probably enough. The only thing we really learned is how he met Chewbacca, I think. And, it was kind of unfortunate. I love Ron Howard. I love his work. But you always know that when you're going to a Ron Howard movie, you're going to see his brother. And
oh no!
And maybe
he was in there,
and maybe some other actors that he's worked with. So the gentleman that played Willow was also.
Oh
in
yeah,
there.
Warwick Davis.
Yes, was also in it. It just felt unnecessary.
Wasn't he Warwick Davis though was in the original Star Wars though, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he played one of the Ewoks.
Yeah.
So I guess it's fine that he was in it, but it's still one of those things where you see his face, you're going, and he plays a bit part just like his brother plays bit parts and everything else. So you're just kind of it's like, really? Really?
The best part of that movie was Lando Calrissian, I thought.
Yeah.
And that was about it. It's a bust.
But the relationship with the robot, though, still I didn't get. So, completely unnecessary. And I guess Disney is finding out that it was probably unnecessary as well because they've halted production on the other Solo films.
Bad their movie's going to suck for Disney just to be like, no more. Don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, as long as they go and tell stories like Rogue One and stuff like that, I think they'll be fine. But if they try to build on current characters, that's just not going to work.
You don't need origin stories anymore. The Star Wars universe is developed. If you want to venture off and do like a Rogue One or those little side stories that have nothing to do with any of the main characters, I think you'll be okay because you get a little bit more creative liberties. But you're taking one of the best characters out of one of the best series ever.
Yeah.
And
it was just unnecessary. And then the final scene I didn't quite understand either. When she was speaking with the hologram, you can't say because that's a spoiler, but she was talking to another character that shows up in the saga. I'm
assuming
that was part of what, or that was going to be one of the next Solo sequels.
I don't know. So anyway, I would say go see Jurassic World instead of Solo.
Cool. Yeah, my last film on here was a movie that I was so excited to see, and I couldn't. I needed other people to see it, so I had someone to talk to about this. And it's a hit and miss movie. People either love this movie or they are just hating on it like crazy. I went and saw Hereditary, and I'm so happy I went and saw Hereditary. It is the most bonkers movie I have seen in a really long time. I think everyone should go see it, if for no other reason, just for its originality. There is no other movie out there right now that you can rent, buy, find anywhere that is like this movie. And it's like the director wrote 2 different films. The first 2 acts of that movie is completely different from the 3rd act of that movie. It's like he was like, we're gonna write this nice, like, not nice, but like it's a weird vibe from the get-go. But then the 3rd act comes and you're like, what the fuck did I just miss to make it go like this? There's a nice little what the fuck moment in that movie where it happened and I swear I stopped breathing for a few seconds. I needed a hug after I walked out of that movie. And so did the guy sitting behind me, because his girlfriend beat the shit out of him for taking her to that movie. She was so pissed off, and he kept getting up. He got up and he went to the bathroom like 5 times. And every time he came back, she'd give him like a 5-minute speech as to what he missed. Oh, God. So I was listening to her give him an update on the shit he missed, and she was either not watching the movie or she didn't get it, because her explanation was like dog shit. And yeah, I was so glad I went and saw this bonkers little art piece. And saying that though, I would not buy this movie. I want it. I might see it a second time, because I'm sure there are things in this movie that if you blink, you missed it. But it's not a movie that I would go out and buy, because it hurt my feelings, and I don't think I can watch it multiple times over the years.
That's kind of how I felt about Mother.
Yeah, well, you were wrong. I loved Mother. And I said I really liked Hereditary too, but it hurt my soul, and I was seeking a hug at the end of that movie. So everybody go see it. And then write me hate mail, because
go see it so you can want hugs.
Yeah. So that's it. Hereditary. This guy is also just out of film school. He's made some short films, but this was his first feature film, and he's knocking this shit out of the park.
Nice.
So, he's either pissed a ton of people off, or he's got people that are just going to love his stuff no matter what he does. And speaking of Toni Collette, she should be nominated for this film. Okay. She's so good.
It would be interesting to see the shorts that he had done prior to that led him to get this gig.
Yeah. He did not pitch this movie as a horror film. He did not tell Toni Collette it was a horror film. He pitched it as a completely different genre. And because he was like, this is the only way I can get anybody to read this movie or this script.
Oh, wow.
Is to lie to them about what it is.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Well, that's cool.
That's it.
All right. And that is what we've been watching. Excellent. Good stuff, guys. So that leads us into the second section of our podcast today. And that is, we sat down and looked at, well, individually sat down and watched the trailer for the upcoming movie, The Nun.
Yeah.
Which is part of the
Conjuring
universe.
Yeah. Does anybody want to start, or just want to
I'll go.
Yeah, go, Greg.
Okay, so the only reason I'm going to go is because shame on me, being a horror film enthusiast and all that. I have not seen any of the Conjuring series.
Oof. Yep. We'll fix that.
So you have no
No.
designed ideas of what this nun represents.
Yeah.
Then. Okay.
No. Which, watching the trailer, it looks intriguing. I kind of want to see it. It does make me want to go back and watch there's 2 two Conjuring and an Annabelle?
I mean, there's 4 in the universe right now. There's 2 Conjuring movies, and then Annabelle had 2 movies as well. I think that's it for now. There's at least 2 or 3 more. There's 3 more coming.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it makes me want to go back and watch those so that I can understand what's going on here. The trailer looked great, I thought. That's coming from a guy who knows absolutely nothing, but I don't know that I can speak much more to that than that. So,
but it intrigued you to want to see the movie, though,
right? Yeah, it does. It did absolutely.
Having watched the other movies, I figured there would be something like this coming out.
Yeah,
because that character is interesting enough. We didn't see enough of that character in the other movies, but there was enough in those movies that I wanted to know more. I want to know that story. And I think this trailer kind of helps build onto that feeling. I hope they're not giving away like one of the most scary parts in the trailer, because if that's the scariest thing in the film, then it's going to be pretty boring.
There was a nice jump scare in there.
There's a nice jump scare in the trailer itself. And I'm curious to see where they go with the mythology of this character.
Yeah. James Wan so far, he's like the master of creating universes, I think, and connecting characters and everything. I dug the first 2 Conjuring movies. I was not a fan of Annabelle, but I did like Annabelle Creation. The Nun was the scariest part of The Conjuring 2. And there were characters in that movie that were terrifying. And still, that every time the nun showed up, she was just the scariest thing on screen in that film. Saying that, I was a little disappointed with the trailer. I wanted more. I felt like I needed. This is like an origin story, but I didn't get that from the trailer, really. I think the nun comes from something that happened to her back during this time when the movie was made. I don't know the year this movie comes from. But I wanted more of that. I wanted more of an origin feel and to know kind of what happened to her and why she is this way. There was a nice jump scare in there. But I don't really feel like I got enough from that trailer to figure out where this movie is going.
Right. There wasn't much dialogue in the trailer itself to try to imply that. Yeah. I don't think.
But it looks really great. I will see it because I'm a fan of that universe. I know The Conjuring 3 is being worked on. And then there's another character from The Conjuring 2 that is going to get his own film as well. And I can't remember what they called him. But you remember in The Conjuring 2, they had the guy that lived in that tent?
Yep.
That guy is getting his own.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. So, the trailer, the movie, I'm sure is going to be fantastic.
So James Wan only wrote the story for it. He did not write the screenplay.
Okay.
I'm reading on IMDb.
Yeah, I got you.
The screenplay was actually by Gary Dauberman and directed by Corin Hardy.
For The Nun?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a producer on all those.
Yes.
And then I think he directed the first Conjuring film. He's got his hands in a lot of different.
I just find this character to be creepy as hell. I think it's a very original character.
Yeah.
Nuns are always creepy. No offense. But I mean,
no hate mail.
If you look in the horror film genre, nuns are creepy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I'll be anxious to see any different trailers coming out between now and when it's released on September 7th.
Cool. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that date. I will be there. I'll be dragging my wife to that theater, kicking and screaming. I can't wait.
You kicking and screaming or her?
Well, maybe both.
Okay.
So,
any other thoughts, Greg?
I have no other thoughts.
Okay. I meant about the trailer.
I have no other thoughts.
All right. So that is the review of the trailer, The Nun, being released September 7th. So go out and see that one. And that leads us into our third and final section. Well,
Yeah.
not really final, because we always try to wrap this up with some shout outs, etc. So actually this moves into the reason we do this. We like to talk about movies. And this past week, well, I'm sure it was like yesterday or today that we all watched this movie.
Guilty.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it today. Greg, I know, watched it today.
Like an hour ago is when I finished.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I watched it yesterday,
But-
so it's not as fresh.
But I saw the trailer come out on Netflix a few weeks ago, whenever it first came out, and I immediately added it to my list because it piqued my interest at that point. I'm glad that we chose to review this one with this group. And that movie is a Netflix original movie called Cargo. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It's a one-liner here. After an epidemic spread all over Australia, a father searches for someone willing to protect his daughter. And this got a 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb. And
I believe it's one of the higher ones we've seen.
And on Rotten Tomatoes, 85% on the tomato meter, so the critics really liked it, and 70% on the audience score, which means the audience is liking it.
I feel like we're cheating now when we pick movies because we're just picking them off of the scores and not going in blind anymore.
But we,
I think we've been burned one way too many times on going in blind. So I think we're legit in doing it.
I think I'd like to talk positively about a movie sometime or another.
Exactly.
All right. As we move into it. And I don't know. Who wants to go first on this one?
Yeah,
I will go first only because I got to duck out.
You got to
here
duck out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll just knock these out here and we can kind of have a quick powwow and then you guys can do whatever you need to do. This was a really, really good film. I was going in anticipating like 28 Days Later or even like a Dawn of the Dead type zombie movie, and I didn't get any of that. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because the film really is very beautiful. The cinematography is just outstanding. The Australian landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Good God, it's awesome. The storyline of it was really what captured me. Beautiful storyline of the survival and the lengths a parent will go to ensure the safety of a child. I think is one of the greatest storylines that can be told. You immediately fall in love with these characters from the get-go. They're very easy to sympathize with. And, right from the very beginning, we've got tension building. There's excitement. There's intrigue. And it kind of carries throughout the entire film. And even going even further into it, it's a very raw and emotional story. And I think that's what I appreciated the most about it was there wasn't a lot of fluff. There wasn't a lot of fluff, I guess. I can't think of another word to kind of describe that. But you're getting a survival story. And you're getting to see this father doing everything he can. I need to back up, or I don't need to back up. I need to watch myself because I was going to give away a spoiler. We're not going to do that. He's doing everything he can to protect his daughter, his infant daughter, essentially. And I think that was just they did a phenomenal job with telling that. And Martin Freeman did a great job. So
I will not disagree with you on that in any way, shape, or form. He was amazing.
Yeah. Oh God, here it.
No. You keep going, my friend.
That was all I had.
Yeah.
That was it? Okay.
That was it.
Any comments on what Greg said?
I mean,
you disagree with him?
Rebuttal.
I like Martin Freeman, so we'll start with that positive. I thought Martin Freeman was great. I thought Martin Freeman was miscast. I don't think he fit this part. I don't have a million reasons why. I don't know if it's look wise. I don't know if when I see him, I just see him from The Hobbit, or I see him from whatever character he plays in the Marvel movies.
Do you think it's because he's generally a character actor?
That's it. I think that's it.
It's hard to see him in a lead role.
Yeah, it's just weird. It just felt weird.
Okay.
But I think he proved that he's not typecast.
I think that was one of the triumphs of this film was to let people know that he's not always going to play Watson. He's not always going to be Frodo or Bilbo Baggins.
No, I'm just saying. I agree with you. He was great in this part. Look wise, I didn't think I thought he was miscast.
You were looking for more of a leading man style.
I think so.
Actor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. And granted, the character was not a tough guy. It didn't need to be like a tough guy walking in there. The character was kind of, I'm not going to say weak either, because he was strong, but like,
I kind of like that everyman feel to it, because I think that's kind of what this story was about.
Absolutely.
This was an everyman person. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't a bad guy.
Yeah.
But he would go to any lengths to save his family.
Mm-hmm. Do you have somebody that you would have cast in his stead?
No, I have nobody in my head. Sometimes when I see movies like this, also, I want to see somebody I don't know. It's just, it takes the safety out of it for me. And although he was not safe, because we're not doing spoilers, when I see somebody in this situation that I know, I feel right out of the gate that person is safe.
Okay,
I was
fair.
wrong, but I have a hard time looking at that person and watching that person without having that idea in the back of my head. So
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I would have loved to see an unknown play that part.
Yeah, because it was interesting being an Australian film.
Mm-hmm.
All the other actors were Australian, and he's English.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Australian film, and he's British. The only other actor I recognized was the woman at the hospital, at the school/hospital.
Yes, yeah.
Because she was in the, for lack of better term, Australian version of Orange is the New Black. It's called Wentworth.
Oh, Wentworth, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was awesome to see her play a really nice character because she's such a total bitch in Wentworth.
Cool.
Yeah. One thing I loved is about the way they started this film, because they established almost immediately what type of society or civilization they were living in. They were just floating on that river, and they see another family that looks just as nice as them. But then the guy pulls up his shirt, and you see the gun, and it's like, all right, I'm going back in the boat, and we're just going to go on our way. You know, they really establish this is not a safe society anymore, but people are still kind of, we'll let you go, but just don't come near us type thing.
And I love that we don't get any origin story on how this happened.
No. Yeah.
Unless we did, and I didn't catch it. But
it wasn't there at all.
It was just right into it. There's nothing looking back. This is how it is, and this is what you get.
I liked, and this is something that Josh probably didn't like. I like the fact that there wasn't.
Oh no, we lost Greg.
We lost Greg. Okay. I love the fact that they didn't show a ton of gore or blood and guts.
I was good with
anything
that.
like that.
I was good with that.
That it took a long time before we actually saw what and it's okay. I mean, it's posted as a zombie movie, so that's not a spoiler to say that there's zombies. That it took a while to see what the zombies look like and how they reacted and stuff like that. So there is that buildup of what's happening, especially on the yacht. When things happen to his wife, that you don't see any of that, and then it's just established that way. So I kind of appreciated it, because then you learned more about the humanity of the movie than worrying about the blood and guts.
Yeah, I got you.
And I think that's what separated this movie from probably any zombie movie that I've seen, is that it's more about the humanity and these people and less about the zombies.
Yeah.
Even though the zombies were a big element in the movie. Because not only did you see the man who would do anything for his family, but then you also see the dark side of humanity as well with Vic.
Yep, absolutely.
Who was my favorite character, by the way?
Was he?
No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say.
That guy was an asshole.
I didn't know what to make of those kits at first. That, the ones that he pulled out of the river in the orange boxes. Yeah. Because it's interesting to wonder where they came from. So I assume they were government issued items to help them once they've been infected. And by help them,
this is your end game. Learn how to use the EpiPen giant spike.
Yeah, not quite an EpiPen, but that's kind of.
Well, I don't know how else to describe it.
I mean, that's exactly what it was, but it wasn't, and I can't.
That was my original. Sorry to cut you off here.
No,
that was my original thought. Was okay, they've got infections that they're dealing with. Here's this medication that either slows it down or might stop it, and then pushes the button, and it's just like 6-inch spike that comes out. It's like, oh nope, never mind.
Yep, no,
we're still in the zombie realm.
Yeah, and I want to say so much about that, but I don't know if that's a spoiler or not. Hi, Em.
The spike or the the EpiPen.
The
thing?
EpiPen thing.
I don't think so.
Like
you know that there's zombies in the world,
right?
They've got to have a way to deal with them, and especially if you're in like the outback, like the literal outback.
Yeah, but this wasn't a way to deal with the zombies. It's a way to deal with yourself if you've been infected.
Okay, I can see that.
Because this was a kid. That's where he got the thing for his wrist.
Right.
To count down the time.
Until you turn. And then
which I thought was like the most original part of this whole movie.
And if you've ever grown up near a packing plant or know anything about the way that they terminate the animals there, that's exactly what made me think of when I saw that needle come out.
Sure.
Because it's not intended to inject anything other than this 4 or 5 inch spike.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, to me, it wasn't a med kit. It was more of a end of life kit.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting because the government knew what was going on and everything else, and instead of trying to help, they said this is your only option.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you're done. So here's a nice little going away present.
Yeah. I really felt horrible. All right, Greg's got to take off.
I have to go.
Do you have any plugs real quick?
I'll read it quick.
All right.
I'm Greg the Movie Guy, the best movie reviewer you've never heard of. I write movie reviews with a positive spin for your enjoyment. Jump on over to gregthemovieguy.com, check out my newest reviews of Solo, a Star Wars story, or dive into my archives and see if your favorite movies have been reviewed. Again, that's gregthemovieguy.com. Share it with everyone you know.
All right.
There goes the Doctor of Filmonomics. We'll see you next time.
Filmonomics. I'm going to work that into the next one.
All right.
We'll see you guys later. Take care.
You bet. We'll see you.
Bye.
That beep going out. That was pretty cool. And that's just us.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
I'll go really, really quick, and then we'll wrap this thing up. I already talked about Martin Freeman and my feelings on that. I feel like if we're going to keep getting these zombie apocalypse films, that we need to start getting a little more originality kicked into them. There's a lot of these movies out there. And it starts after all the shit's gone down, or you see the shit start.
Right.
And then it goes down. They exist. They're out there. They're kind of all formulaic and they're all kind of the same. That's how I feel. I suggested The Road also before we started this cast. It's the same movie. It's just, it's the same premise. Having said that, there's different things in here, but like the wristband, I thought that was a really nice small thing to work in. The spike that you guys talked about for a minute, that's something new that came in here. But in general, overall, I feel like a lot of these movies are pretty formulaic and they're all kind of the same. I did enjoy the movie though. I did like it. I liked the movie as much as I liked Martin Freeman playing the character in this movie. The best part of this movie for me was the little girl in this movie. That little girl to me was the best and smartest character in this film. Everything that she worked out, how to work do I want to say zombie? Were they zombies? Was it more of a virus outbreak kind of thing? I'll say zombie, I guess.
Let's say zombie, because to me they were dead.
Yeah, okay. The way she worked out how to move her dad around without killing her dad, I thought was just really smart.
Right.
And we're not doing spoilers, so I almost blew that. But the way she survived and the way she lived in this world and she was real young too, was just the smartest way I thought anybody could have gone about it. I thought she was a real nice second to Martin Freeman's character. I thought putting them together character-wise was a nice way to push the movie along. I didn't know when I saw the baby thing, I didn't know going into this movie that was his baby. I did not read a lot about the film going in. I thought it was a baby that he found and that he picked up and just kind of brought along to save the baby. And then I was like, I wanted to get into this long discussion about if you saw a baby on the side of the road during the zombie apocalypse, would you be the person that would pick that baby up?
Right.
I understand now that it's his kid and that's something that you could not let go.
Right.
But a baby in the zombie apocalypse, and we see this during The Walking Dead also, is a danger.
Yeah.
It's
and you do see that in here when Vic's hunting him down
Yeah.
and everything else, that it is a danger because you cannot control when that child
exactly
makes a noise.
They make noise, they get hungry, they crap their pants. You have to stop quite a bit along the way to take care of this child.
Yeah.
And if that was not your baby and you just saw them sitting lonely on the side of the road, would you be the person to stop and pick that child up? And I know a lot of people would keep walking, but
they do touch on that a little bit later in the movie when they encounter the, for lack of better term, the buried treasure family.
I may not remember.
Where he goes out by himself and he's looking around. He encounters the family, the man with the wife and the 2 daughters.
Okay, I may have missed it because I did get up during the movie. Yeah,
that was
just fine.
That was an important part because he did have to make a decision similar to that, and it was a very difficult decision for him.
Okay,
and I'll discuss that with you after the podcast
It's fine.
because if I tell it here, then it's obviously a spoiler, and this is too new of a movie to do that with.
Yeah, for sure.
So he did have to make a decision similar to what you're talking about.
Okay.
So,
thought,
because that was one of my questions here, and I didn't even know if I could ask it, and I don't think I can. I do like. I will have to say, I really like the scene in the tunnel.
Yeah.
One, because of the way they handled the zombies in the tunnel was different than I've really seen before.
That's who was lined up against the wall, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And Vic was like...
And then they had to deal with Vic yet again.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew he was coming back. There's no spoiler in that in any way, shape, or form.
He's a great antagonist in this movie,
He really is.
He's a great... He was a great character. He's a dick, but he's a great character.
Yeah. And for me personally, I thought the ending was incredibly sweet, as much as it was sad.
Yeah, it was a nice moment.
Yeah.
At the end of that movie.
Yeah. And then one final thing I had on my list is I really enjoyed the use of the Aboriginal tribes.
Yeah.
In this film, because it was the woman at the school / hospital that said they're gone. He thought she meant dead, and she goes, no, they've gone back to the old way.
Yeah, okay, gotcha, yep.
And I found that very poignant because they did. They said, it's not technology that's going to save us.
Yeah.
We've got to go back to the old ways. And it was this Aboriginal tribe that they ended up, well, I can't say.
Yeah, I gotcha. It's so hard to talk about the movie without spoiling it, but it's definitely a movie that if you like this kind of subgenre, if you like these kind of films, it's one to catch on Netflix.
To me, like I said earlier, it is less of a zombie movie, more of a story about humanity.
It's slow.
Yeah.
For a zombie movie, it's slow.
For a zombie movie, it's slow. It's still a zombie movie.
Yeah.
Not a horror movie.
Yep.
I don't think. But still, to me, I just really enjoyed this movie.
Without spoiling, did they ever explain why the hell they were putting their heads in the ground? Did they explain that? Did I miss that too?
They don't explain it.
Okay.
And I had that on my list, and I just didn't know whether I could ask it or not.
I don't think that's a spoiler.
I don't think that's a spoiler because you see it from the very beginning.
They stick their heads in the ground and then they just sit there with their asses in the air. And I was like, what are we doing?
And I didn't see if that was part of the instructions and the med kit or any of that stuff.
Okay.
So I may be tempted to do some research on that one.
Were those people that had already turned or those people that are getting ready to turn? You don't know, right?
Once again, I don't know. Because we saw it in so many various formats, and then the flash forwards, the flashbacks, everything else. We saw it we saw it so many times in there, but there was never really an explanation. But of course, there was never any explanation as to how it started, what it was, if it was a virus, if it was whatever. So, if you were to give it 1 to 10, what would you give it?
I think I'd sit in that 6 area.
Okay, I would say probably a higher 7 for me.
Okay,
just because I thought it was. I just thought it was so well acted, and the cinematography, like Greg said, was really beautiful. And I'm a sucker for cute babies.
Yeah, I got you.
I really am. That last moment that he had with her before the end of the movie was really
touching.
Sweet. Yeah, it was really sweet.
Yeah.
So,
and
we should have asked Greg what he would have given it, but. It sounded like he probably would have ranked it around a 7.
He probably would have been up there, in that area.
So we're kind of like aligning with what Rotten Tomatoes is saying then, because like I said, audience score was 70%. So
I think that's fair. So,
right.
Do we want to do? I know you got something to plug. You can't even tell me you don't.
I got something to plug.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, so the only thing I can think of, if this is what you're thinking of, is there was a little film I was in.
Yep.
Called Corruptor.
Yeah.
By Unfiltered Entertainment. And they are like all over the map now. It is on Spectrum on Demand. It is on Amazon on Demand.
Just saw it the other day.
There's another one they announced today. I can't think of it. But they're getting this movie out on demand.
Yep. You can find it on a ton of different, at least, not ton, I guess 3 or 4 different sites or places though. Couple cable places. I don't know the one in Omaha.
That's Cox, but I don't know if it's on that one.
Okay. But definitely on Amazon Prime. I saw it there yesterday, so I know it's there.
Yep, it's there.
Go support indie film. They're not asking for much. It's
$5.99 for the film.
And, we saw it at Prairie Lights last year. Go hunt it down and find it and give it a watch. And if for nothing else, to support indie film, but
and I will say though, I'm a little disappointed because I was third billed in this movie, and they only list the first 2 names.
Yes, they do
on these sites.
Yep.
I'm seeing,
so
I'm seeing Mike Crawford, Megan
and
Garcia,
no Patrick
Lambrecht.
Damn it!
I was going, oh man,
but he's there, and he's in there a lot, so.
It's fun. It was a fun movie to do, and I just think Chad and Dorothy did a really good job, and it's probably worth the $5.99 to support them so that they can keep doing quality movies in there.
Was there a buy option on there?
I don't think there was a buy
on Amazon
option.
Prime.
Maybe there was.
Okay, I don't remember if there was or not. I know there's just the rental one. So, beyond that, check out the Prairie Lights Film Festival. It's coming, and it's coming soon. Announcements are coming soon. You can find all the announcements they've done so far on their Prairie Lights website and the Facebook page. That's coming October 12th, 13th, and 14th in Grand Island, Nebraska at the historic Grand Theater. It's a ridiculously good time. Super cheap. It's $10 for the whole weekend or $5 a day. If you buy your pass in advance, I think they're giving out the screeners again this year. But the $10 gets you discounts and vouchers for soda and popcorn. It gets you into all 3 days of the film festival. It gets you we're going to go to the after parties. There's a ton of stuff for that price. You can't find a cheaper weekend. So, please, go check out the Prairie Lights Film Festival page and see what they got going, because it's a pretty darn good time.
Really good time.
So, and we hopefully will have a couple of things out there to show ourselves, and all
right.
Otherwise, check us out on MidnightFrightFilms.com, Facebook Midnight Fright Films, the Midnight Frightcast. We're on the
Instagram, on Twitter,
YouTube. We're kind of everywhere on the social media. So
we are.
Find us, look for us. Hopefully we'll have a handful of things that are new coming your way soon, maybe, possibly. And
All right.
That's it.
Well, I think that's it for this week. So we want to thank you for joining us, and we hope you all have a horrific next couple of weeks until we see you again. All right.